Brenda song? Yeah, chick's all right.
It's hot out there, so let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, all time.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the May 16th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions, call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at Temple City Auto Repair.com. Yeah, I saw it. It was suggested by you guys. I saw the London Tipton Brenda song recommendation, and I thought that schedule released by her, I thought that was, I give the Rams marketing stuff a real hard time because I think they're terrible at it. But the Brenda song thing was cool. That was really cool. I laughed. I thought it was entertaining. So, yeah, good start. Good start to the 2025 season. Hey, guys, thanks for clicking on. I'm Joe Terosian, sports writer, 21 years. Thank you to our sponsors for being here. Also, be sure to check us out on Spotify and at From the RamCave. So, what we're going to talk about a little bit, we're going to talk about a little bit more about the Rams schedule, how they match up quarterback-wise. And then we're also going to talk about the NFC West, break down a little bit of the Rams-Texans in week one and why we should feel good about it. Talk about Cooper Kupp, Jalen Ramsey, and the news around the NFL in terms of Brock Purdy's contract, right? And also, I wanted to bring up a question. Do you feel sometimes that Joe Burrow might just be a smidgen overrated? Good quarterback, but maybe just a little bit overrated. Also, I felt incumbent upon me to talk a little bit about Steeler fan Rob and his pending misery in the 2025 season. All right, Steve Ramirez is here. I forgot to say Wednesday how much schedule announcement has changed. In the 70s, we didn't find out who they were playing until Street and Smith came out. I remember something came out in the newspaper once. I think it was in 74. I don't know how it happened. It was before Street and Smith, that edition of Street and Smith came out. Our neighbor Gilbert down the street, who's now a Baptist pastor in San Diego, he showed up at our house and he says, "I got the Rams schedule." And you would have thought he was reading off the list of gifts Santa was bringing us at Christmas. We didn't let him explain it to us. We gathered around him on our couch and we're just looking over his shoulder as he's reading off what he wrote down in pencil. The schedule release was huge. It was really exciting in those days. Good call there, Steve. USA expat, I admit my bias. However, John Lynch, GM and president of football operations for 49ers, does not have a clue on how to manage a football club. Great player, that's it. But I cheer his incompetence. Speaking of the Brock Purdy contract, I think they're pretty good with talent. I really do. I think they're good. I just think they don't know how to spend the money, right? They don't know how to spend the money. It's like Jerry Seinfeld once said, you know how to take a reservation. You just don't know how to hold a reservation, right? And the holding's the most important thing. It's like you know how to acquire talent, right? You just don't know how to hold on to talent, and you overpay for things you shouldn't be paying for. Tim Burns is chiming in. 5 years, 665 rocks is fair market for Purdy. He has proved he can win under pressure. But you know what? I'll say this, Mr. Burns, that's a lot of money that the 49ers are giving a quarterback who does not strike fear into the Rams, right? I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's a competent quarterback. Is he in the top 16 out of starting 32? Okay, I'll put him in there. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. But you know what? As a Ram fan, I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled that he's going to be their starting quarterback. Now, I might not like it after Matthew Stafford goes, but I do like it for the next 2 to 3 years with this Rams defense that Brock Purdy is the quarterback of the 49ers. I love it. I think it's great. Manny Vasquez. I was hoping the 49ers would give Purdy more, really, and put a stranglehold on their salary cap, but this will do. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. ESG, never been so proud that we have Snead as our GM. Yeah, the Rams just, I think they understand how to spend money. You just don't give the kind of money they're giving to some of their players. You don't extend C-Mac like they did. You don't give – Fred Warner's a great player. But you don't give him the kind of money you're giving him at that position in the NFL. And look what they did. They had to gut out Eric Armstead. They got rid of Javon Hargrave. That's taken a toll on that team, And I know the 4-year contract for George Kittle is only really a 2-year contract when it comes to guaranteed. But again, that's serious money for a guy at 32 that has a lot of tread on his tires, a lot of wear on his tires, so to speak. So, okay, let me blast through this because I am going to dinner with my wife tonight, and if I go past a certain time, I'm going to get the look. Does anyone else get the look? Yeah, I've gotten the look before. We know what the look is like. Okay, I want to look at the Rams' schedule here again, and then match up again who they're playing at quarterback when you get really worried about. Texans at the Rams. And we're going to look at the Texans roster here in a minute. But Texans, Rams, Stafford versus Stroud. I'll take it. Okay? 1-0 Rams. Rams at Titans. Likely should be Stafford versus Cam Ward. I'll take it. Rams at Eagles against Jalen Hurts. I'll take it. Colts at Rams against either Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, Marty Domrez, Bill Troop, Mike Kirkland, Gary Hogaboom. Who's going to be their quarterback? I'll take Stafford. 49ers against Rams. I'll take Stafford over Purdy. Ravens, Rams. I'm going to take Matthew Stafford over Lamar Jackson. I will. I always will. Rams at Jaguars. I'm taking Matthew Stafford over Trevor Lawrence. Rams at Saints. I don't know who their quarterback is. Bobby Scott, John Forcade. I do not know. Steve Walsh, Bobby Hebert out of retirement. So I'm taking the Rams. The rematch with the 49ers, I'm taking Stafford over Purdy. I'm taking Stafford over Sam Darnold against the Seahawks. Buccaneers, Rams, I'm taking Stafford over Baker Mayfield, and I like Baker Mayfield. Rams, Panthers, I'm taking Stafford over Bryce Young. Rams, Cardinals, week 14, I'm taking Stafford over Kyler Murray. Rams, Lions at home against Jared Goff. I'm taking Stafford over Goff. I'm taking Stafford over Darnold in the Seahawk rematch. I'm taking Stafford over Penix if he's still healthy with the Falcons in week 17. And I'm taking Stafford over Murray in week 18. Now, does that mean the Rams are going to go 17-0? I'm not saying the Rams are going to go 17-0. What I am saying, though, is that we've got the quarterback advantage in all of these games, the royal we. We've got the quarterback advantage. I really like how that plays out. Let's see here. Steve Ramirez. Purdy is good, but a trailer with talent around him. He can win, but how do they build around him? And they've got issues in their wide receiver room, right? Dewan Jennings is the only guy that's kind of proven, right? They're counting on Ricky Pearsall this year, right? I don't want to jump ahead of what my plan is here, but let me look at this real quick here. I do like looking at this 49er offense. They're running Brandon Ayuk, okay, coming back from an injury. He's proven in the NFL, but where's his head at, right? Do you trust Brandon Ayuk? Juwan Jennings, absolutely, and then Ricky Pearsall, right? And then you got to hope that George Kittle stays healthy. You got to hope Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, and you got to hope Trenton Williams stays healthy. So, yeah, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts there for the 49ers, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So, that's pretty brutal right now. I think the Rams are in good shape. When you're looking at the quarterbacks they're facing. And, of course, injuries can play a part in all of that. Manny Correa chiming in. Thanks for you sounds good. Yo, what's good, Unc? Ronald McDonald. Are you talking to me, Chief? Let me know. I wanted to look at the Texans, right? Texans are coming. You don't want to get upset week one. Rams won opening season on the road in Seattle. They weren't supposed to win that game. That was when, I guess, Pete Carroll was taken by surprise by the gap run scheme that the Rams did as they moved away from the outside zone run scheme. And the Rams won that game pretty handily. That was their last opening win. But let's look who the Rams are facing right now. This is the Texans depth chart right now. That if the game was to start this week, this is who they'd be playing. Joe Mixon in the backfield, good, but he's got some mileage. C.J. Stroud, good, but he needs help. Dalton Schultz. What is Dalton Schultz? Would you say he's as good as Tyler Higbee? And we know Higbee's not an elite tight end. He's a good tight end. Would you say Dalton Schultz is a step behind Tyler Higbee? All right. And then you're running out there, Cam Robinson fading, Howard Titus, who was a number one pick, never really developed, Juice Scruggs, who's moving from center to right guard, Jarrett Patterson, a former sixth-round pick, and Blake Fisher, a former second-round pick last year. This is not a great offensive line, and they moved off Laramie Tunsil. That's not a great offensive line. And the receiving core, Nico Collins is very good, but was hurt. Christian Kirk, who's good, but he's not great. And John Mechie, who's all right, right? Is there anything here that scares you? Can Tank Dell stay healthy? We don't know. They drafted Jaden Higgins in the second round. They signed Justin Watson from Kansas City. Is there anything about that Houston offense that scares you? There's nothing about that Houston offense that scares you compared to the Rams defense. Now, looking at their defense, Derek Stingley did have a really good year last year. They signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's a competent, good safety. They still got Kamari Lassiter, a veteran. Kalen Bullock. No, Lassiter's not a veteran. I'm thinking of the other Lassiter. But they got him back. Jalen Petrie, who's a veteran. And then they're running Daniel Hunter, who's going to be 31, and Willie Anderson, who had a really good year last year. But that's it, right? That's it. The Rams offense should be able to move through this team. They should be able to control this team. So this looks like it should be a win. And we're going to do each show. We're going to talk a little bit about every one of these opponents that the Rams are going to face. I do like how things are shaping up for them in 2025 in terms of schedule. And we're going to look at the NFC West here in a minute. Tim Burns, what's up, Manny? Okay, great. Manny Vasquez, if the defense takes the next step, Stafford won't have to put up big numbers so they can win the ones where the offense struggles. I was thinking I think that's true, Manny, but my thinking is that if the offense steps up, the defense can be even better, more aggressive, take more chances as opposed to playing it safe. The margin was really thin last year because the offense basically for a Rams, McVay, Stafford offense, the offense kind of stunk on ice last year. They could not get anything going offensively. Now we know there was trouble along the line. There was injuries at wide receiver. We got that. Totally get that. There are games where you're going in with Demarcus Robinson as your number one, and the Rams thought so much of Demarcus Robinson. I understand there was off the field stuff. They let him move on, but that's where they got in trouble. Crab, hi Joe. Crab, thank you for joining us. Be sure to hit subscribe. Rams are going 17-0. I'll take it. I'll take 15-2. I'll take 14-3. I want them undefeated in January and February, though. That's what I want. USA Expat. Can't imagine Houston fans feeling SoFi. Good call there, USA Expat. Might be actually a real home game for the Rams. Wow, right? That sounds pretty good. I'm all for Brenda Song getting to do something before the game. Just don't show me The Rock. Song earned at least one pregame amp up the Rams rant. I thought she was great. Let's see. Bill, Rams, we had trouble scoring in the first period. Absolutely we did. Absolutely. And I think if that gets rectified, that defense can really be turned loose. It doesn't have to be perfect. Michael Negretti, cap hell for the 49ers in the future. I think so. They've done, they did a lot of cutting, right? They did a lot of cutting, but again, what they have a tendency to do is spend money where they shouldn't spend money. They never should have extended Brandon Ayuk. Never should have. Should have moved off of him right away. And he's going to cost them money. And I don't know. I don't think he's the best clubhouse guy either. So I am feeling very good about that, Mr. Negretti. Mr. Powers down in Irvine. If the Rams' eye of the tiger and those winnable games have the eye of the tiger, they will amass a high win season. Too many games last year were last-ditch wins. Cardinals, 49ers, Seahawks. We lose those games. We don't make the playoffs. Yeah, as I've said, Mr. Powers, last season was the least enjoyable, successful season I've ever had as a Rams fan. I was never happy, right? And then I was borderline postal after the Bears and Dolphin losses. And those other games, they were just too close. They were just too close. Hopefully, offensive line stays healthy. You got depth in the running back room. The receivers stay healthy. Stafford stays upright. There's opportunity here. And, you know, I'm shortchanging Terrence Ferguson. If he can develop and play, become a weapon, some special things can happen. Yeah, I agree. And that forced our defense to have to play safe. So, Bill, our defense always gives up points just before half. Yeah. You know, and also sometimes they're put in bad spots. Bill, our return game is going to be awesome. Are you having confidence in that Britton Covey, or are you thinking Xavier Smith? Crab, Daddy Stafford is going to ram his way to the Super Bowl. I'll take it. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, did you see Juan Soto return to Yankee Stadium? I'm sure they booed the snot out of him. Don't tell me any scores. I'm going to watch the game when I get home tonight. USA Expat, do we keep Adams out all preseason so Houston doesn't know what to – yeah, I don't think you're going to see a starter play in the – you know, as always, I don't think anything's changed. I don't think you're going to see any of the starters play during the preseason, which is the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd of August. And I'd be surprised if Jimmy Garoppolo played more than a quarter at all total in this preseason. That's why I'm surprised I haven't read anything about a camp arm being brought in. I understand they'll let Stetson Bennett take all the reps, but there's usually a fourth arm that comes in. Let's see. Manny Vasquez, Texan defense ranked 5th overall last year, but they benefited from a bad division and weak schedule. So the Rams offense should start off wrong. Yeah, if you look at the matchups, I feel comfortable with the matchups. I don't think they're strong against the run. I don't think they will be. I think that'll be the Rams' strong suit. And so, yeah, I do like it. Steve Ramirez, Rams starters and secondary players will not play. Absolutely not. Michael McGrady, Pastor Joe, your microphone is crackling. I do not know what to do about that. Is it crackling all the time? Let me see here. I hope this helps. I hope this is better. We'll see if that works. Let's ease that back. Thank you for the update. Bill, Covey is going to be the 2023 Covey where he was an all-pro. All right, confidence there in Bill. Go for it. Okay, let's keep moving on here. Question came up from a friend. How do I feel about Cooper Kupp being in Seattle? And my first thought is he's going to have a good year. I don't think he's going to be 2021 Cooper Kupp, but I think he's going to have a good year. Jen, hi. Thank you, Jen, for clicking in. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. I think Cooper Kupp's going to have a good year, but I think that's going to be it. I think he's going to be good enough by mid-season. People will be complaining about Les Snead and Sean McVay for letting him go, right? He's going to be playing well week 10, week 12. Devontae Adams is going to have a drop, miss a game or two. Tutu's going to do something that no one's going to like, and everyone's going to blame Snead and McVay. It's kind of the nature of things. I think Kupp will have a good year, but I also believe 2025 will be his last hurrah. He put a lot of mileage on that body, a lot of hits, a lot of wear and tear. He's in his 30s. I think he has one good year left. Not great. They asked me about Jalen Ramsey. That was another one. It's all about the contract, and I hope it's nothing more than a fourth rounder, right? If they can figure out the contract, fourth rounder, post-June 1st designation, we're all good with it, right? I think we're all good with it. No complaints. But my issue would be is that when Jalen Ramsey was here up through 2022, the expectation was for him to be a shutdown corner. If he comes back in 2025, you should not have that expectation. He's a football player who's going to make some plays, but I don't think he's going to blanket anybody anymore. He's going to be a little more elite but he's also just going to be one of them, and then one of those guys in the room. But he's still going to be one of those guys. I think the Rams cornerback room seems like a cornerback room by committee, and I'm good with it. I hope a lot of those guys don't log a lot of snaps, and then we'll let this season play out. And then again, I hold out to you Emmanuel Forbes, young, first-round talent, and again, Rams haven't signed anybody. They didn't sign anybody. They didn't even sign a practice squad guy, an undrafted free agent to play corner. They didn't draft a corner. They haven't signed a free agent corner. They could have their eyes on Jalen Ramsey, but I think there's a belief there in Emmanuel Forbes. And I could be absolutely wrong, but I think there's a belief there in Emmanuel Forbes. Tim Burns, Locked On Rams, and others agree with RamView. 3-1 start and a 13-4 ceiling. They agree with us, huh? Did they watch us, Mr. Burns? Maybe they watched us. Rams last year was McVay's best coaching year. Hey, that's a good call. I thought the last 2 seasons he did really well. I did, but I'll take that, Bill. My only issue with him is when a game's a blowout, acknowledge it's a blowout and get Stafford and your starters out of there as best you can. Tim Powers. No Akiri is a backup to Jackson, who's out there still. That's the troubling thing. I think Connor McDermott is still floating. I think Scherf is still floating, but he's a guard. I don't know really who's left out there, and that's where the Rams could be in trouble. That's where they could be in trouble at left tackle, right? And right tackle. I like Warren McClendon. I think Warren McClendon can play for stretches there at right tackle. And given Havenstein being 33, recently turned, he may need to play a few snaps there, a few games there to keep Havenstein healthy and fresh. But, yeah, I think that's more of an Achilles heel than the cornerback room for the Rams. It's like who's backing up Alaric Jackson. And as Ram fans, we should be very aware that's a possibility. Jen, Rams are my favorite team. Good. You came to the right place. I got the best crowd. We got the best info. This is a great show. Thanks, Jen, for joining us. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, do you think Purdy is worth $53 million a year? To the 49ers, he is. I like Brock Purdy. They could have won a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy without Kyle Shanahan. I don't know, maybe Kyle Shanahan's the coach that was perfect for Brock Purdy, but it was Shanahan's play calling and Shanahan's management that cost him that Super Bowl a couple years ago, not Brock Purdy. I think Kyle Shanahan is a good HC. I think he's a great OC, and that's what he should be. When he gets fired from Frisco, bring him and let him be the Rams OC. But I think there are questions there about his game. I do. All right, let's keep trucking along here as we get to the 23-minute mark. All right, let's go around the NFL and other places. The Brock Purdy contract, 5 years, 265 rocks. 181 of those rocks are guaranteed. He gets 165 of that in his first 3 years. That's why his per-year contract cost for those first 3 years, according to the NFL Network, will be $55 million. So he'll be making $55 million in 25, 26, and 27. Over the life of the contract, it plays out to $53 million. So, yeah, they gave it to him. I wish they'd given him more, as you guys were saying, but they gave it to him. I like him, but I don't think they can put enough help around him. I just don't. You know, you could talk about him making too much money. Fred Warner makes too much money. Bosa makes too much money. They just do, right? You know, I think the theme is pay your offensive players, draft your defensive players, and then you decide and discriminate on who you're keeping for a second contract. This is why with the Rams, I'd expect Jared Verse and Kobe Turner to be extended when the time comes. We don't know about Braden Fisk yet, but I do not expect the Rams to keep Byron Young after his contract is up. I hope he's great, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So here's my question to you guys. I brought it up. Are you getting sick of hearing about the greatness of Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow hasn't won a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow lost a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow lost a Super Bowl that he wouldn't have been in if OBJ doesn't go down. And I like Joe Burrow. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he had a great year last year, staying healthy. But don't you feel like sometimes they elevate Joe Burrow just a bit much? I think it's because I'm hypersensitive how they disrespect Matthew Stafford so much. Other news that kind of broke that I was amazed led so many different platforms, NFL platforms, was the news about Caleb Williams wanting to go to the Vikings last year and play for Kevin O'Connell instead of the Bears. That was 2024. Last I checked, this is May 16th, 2025. Who gives a rip, right? Who gives a rip? Why is that a big deal? Who cares, right? Who cares? Ben Johnson doesn't care in Chicago. And when Caleb Williams wins a bunch of games this year, they're not going to care either. I think it's crazy. Also, I don't care about flag football in the Olympics. And I was amazed to hear one NFL comment, oh, it'll help build the brand. Build it. Does the NFL really need help building its brand? It invades every holiday. It owns the offseason. Literally, the Super Bowl is in the second week. Pretty soon it's going to be in the third week of February, right? And then it's got the salary cap, start of the new season era, free agent period. They've got the draft period. They got the OTA period. They got the camp period. They got the preseason, and they got everything else in between. To say that going to the Olympics builds the NFL brand is so ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I thought, are you really trying to sell this to me? Because it sounded completely.
That is incredibly jejune.
Completely jejune. It's ridiculous. And honestly, it's ridiculous for active NFL stars to consider or be expected to play in flag football in the Olympics. It's dumb. It's ridiculous. Okay. Speaking of former Rams,
They come and they go, Hobbs. They come and they go.
the Jets cut former Rams kicker Greg Zuerlein. It'd be nice if the Rams just kind of kept him as a backup in case Josh Carty gets hurt. I don't want Zuerlein back. I like what I saw in Carty at the end of the year. Unless there's a meltdown, maybe then you have a re-engagement of Zuerlein. Zuerlein's peak was with the Rams, and we got the best out of him. He's been a little inconsistent since getting away from Bones Fossil and the Rams. He's a good kicker, but he's not what he once was. If we had him kicking maybe in 2023, yeah, maybe it's a different story, but no. Stick with Josh Carty. I do like Greg Zuerlein. Let him drink Mai Tais with Mason Crosby somewhere, and then we can bring him back in. And also, Tremaine Ankrum, recently cut, has dropped out of the NFL, has been re-signed and brought in by the Kansas City Chiefs. So good for Tremaine Ankrum. I had high hopes for him at one time. All right, I thought this was interesting. Looking at quarterbacks for next year's draft, Arch Manning, Drew Aller, and Clay Glubnik from Clemson. Arch Manning is slated to make 6 rocks this year at Texas. He's throwing 95 college passes. As a junior this year, he's scheduled to make $6 million. Klubnik at Clemson, Aller at Penn State are each in the $3 million range. That's a lot of bread, right? And if you don't feel like coming out, why would you come out, right? Why would you come out, right? If somehow it works out that the Saints, I guess, well, that's wondering. That'd be interesting. The Saints are going to stink for a while, right? Let's just say the Saints have the first pick in the draft. Does Arch Manning really want to go where Archie Manning played? Wouldn't that be kind of like, I'm not going to go there. I know it's in LA, it's in Louisiana, but does he really want to go there? I think I'll go back to school and make 8 or 10 rocks my final year. I think we saw for Carson Beck going to Miami, he's in the 10 rock range of what he's going to make. So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff. All right, I wanted to talk about Aaron Rodgers real quick because there was conversation there that, Aaron Rodgers was waiting for the schedule to drop. Aaron Rodgers was waiting to see what happened with the 49ers and stuff. But, everyone's got him projected to go to the Steelers, and it very well could happen. But Steeler fan Rob's been all over my case because Colin Cowherd was talking about the Steelers losing their left tackle, Dan Moore. And Steeler fan Rob's been screaming that Dan Moore was not the Steelers' left tackle. Well, Dan Moore, who signed as a free agent with the Titans this year, I looked it up. Since 2021, the last 4 seasons, This guy's collected over 1,000 snaps at left tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He wasn't great, but he was the starter, and he was good enough to keep 2023 14th overall pick in the first round, Broderick Jones out of Georgia, to keep him at right tackle. Now Broderick Jones is moving to left tackle. So they're going to go into a season with an untested left tackle. Now, Broderick Jones can probably play it. I'm not saying he can't play it, but Dan Moore was good enough to keep him off, and Steeler fan Rob says he sucks. So looking at that, along with everything else with the Steelers this offseason, can I just say this? The Steelers with schedule currently right now with Mason Rudolph, they open against the Jets on the road. I'm going to give them that win because it's the Jets. Then they get the Seahawks at home, loss. They get the Patriots on the road, loss. They get the Vikings at home, loss. They go to bye in week 5. Then they get the Browns. I'm going to give them a win over the Browns because the Browns stink. Then they get the Bengals. I'm going to give them a loss. Packers, loss. Colts at home, they're going to get the win. Chargers on the road, loss. Bengals, loss. Bears, loss. Bills, loss. Ravens, twice, loss. They'll beat the Browns. Dolphins are up in the air. Do you realize at the current position the Steelers are in, they can go 5-12, possibly 4-13? Does Aaron Rodgers, back to a reason why I'm talking about this, does Aaron Rodgers think he's good enough to make a difference for this team to get to 10 wins and maybe make the playoffs and lose in the first round like they always do? Why wouldn't Aaron Rodgers just wait? Why wouldn't Aaron Rodgers wait until Brock Purdy gets hurt? Why wouldn't he wait till Jared Goff goes down? Why wouldn't he wait till JJ McCarthy flames out? Why wouldn't he wait till Stafford goes down? Why wouldn't, think about this. Why wouldn't he wait until Lamar Jackson goes down, right? Why wouldn't he wait and just see, hey, man, I'm 41 years old. So I don't know. Is it a fait accompli that Aaron Rodgers is good at Pittsburgh? Does he want to play that bad? Yeah, pretty amazing stuff there. All right, let's see here. Jen, 49ers got robbed, and we're all happy about it. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, you going to watch the Knicks Celtics game? Yes, I'm going to watch the Knicks Celtics game. Absolutely. No comments. ESG, flag football. I'd rather watch the WNBA. I'd rather watch Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is buffed out a little bit, and they got her some Marty McSorley types. I got a feeling there's going to be some fireworks in the WNBA this year. That might be fun to watch. Let's see. Bill, I check Walter football, Tyron Smith Cowboys, and Jedrick Willis with the Browns. That's all I saw that was worth it. And I just read about a week or two ago, Tyron Smith is going to sign one of those one-day retirement contracts. So he's not going to play this year. Thanks for that, Bill. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, any news on Jalen Ramsey? Nothing more. It's a contract issue. It's all about the contract, how much the Rams want to take, how much the Dolphins want to keep. And, of course, other teams want, according to Schefter, other teams are interested in Jalen Ramsey. And, Dolphins want to maximize that. For the Rams, you work out the contract and don't give up anything more than a fourth round. That's what I would consider ideal. ESG, I know the Falcons have the fourth easiest schedule in the NFL. Does anyone know who had the fourth easiest schedule last year and if they made the playoffs? I'm just looking for hope here. I do not know. I do not know, ESG. I do not know. Break a leg, Aaron Rodgers. There we go. Tim Powers would rather let Forbes and younger DBs get experience than bring in Ramsey. Save the dough for an extra pass rusher. Pressure always leads to inaccuracy, and our DBs will ball hawk through pressures. I'm there with you, Mr. Powers, but I like Jalen Ramsey not necessarily as just a corner. I like him in that star position. I like to move him around. I think he's got versatility and flexibility. Make him play some safety. I'm not against it if they make the room. I'm not against it at all. But, yeah, you do want to see those other guys get snaps. That's for sure. Chris Childers, thank you for clicking in, Chris. 49ers overpaid their quarterback. Seems to be the consensus here on the board. All right, I wanted to get to this really quick here. The Arizona Cardinals, their projected, their schedule and their projected record Right now, according to NFL Network, I saw they're projected to win 8 games, the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are better than that. They open on the road against the Saints. That's a win. They host the Panthers. That's a win. They go on the road against the 49ers. I don't know about you, but I like the Cardinals better than the 49ers. And the Cardinals have always played tough up at Levi. So that's a 3-0 start. They get the Seahawks at home. I think they're going to split with the Seahawks this year. So they're going to get a win and go 4-0. They get the Titans at home early. That's 5-0. Then they get the Colts. That's 6-0. Then they have to they host the Packers. I'm going to give them a loss there, and then they head into the bye week. So then they're 6-1 in the bye. They get the bye the same week the Rams do, and then they come back and play the Cowboys. That's 7-1. They come back and play in Seattle. That's a loss, 7-2. I'm going to give them a win over the 49ers, 8-2. Jaguars is kind of up in the air. I'll give them the win, and then I'll give them a loss against the Buccaneers, 9-3, lost to the Rams, 9-4. Texans, 10-4, right? Then they get the Falcons, Bengals, and Rams. I could easily see the Cardinals winning 10 games this year, easily. If there's not that big second half meltdown, and if Kyler Murray doesn't do Kyler Murray type things. All right, looking at the 49ers, who everyone's screaming about as having a great schedule, the easiest schedule on the planet. But I think they're forgetting they're the 49ers. NFL Network, NFL.com, projects them to win 9 games. They open on the road in Seattle. I'm giving that to Seattle. Then they go to New Orleans. I'm going to give that to the 49ers. Then they've got the Cardinals. I'm going with the Cardinals. And then the Jaguars. They'll beat the Jaguars. They're 2-2. Then they get the Rams and Bucks back to back. They're 2-4. Early on, I'm going to take the Falcons, 2-5. They get the Texans on the road, 2-6. They get the Giants, 3-6. Rams, 3-7. Cardinals, 3-8. Panthers, 4-8. Browns, 5-8. They do not get their bye until December 7th. And then they get the Titans, the Colts, the Bears, and the Seahawks. The best I could see, that's if everything goes right for the 49ers, is they win 8 games. I know people are saying they can win the division. They can win it. Do you really like the 49ers better than the Seahawks and the Cardinals? And definitely the Rams? They could go 1-5 in division. I think that's really possible. And then you got the Buccaneers. That's a loss, right? I don't know if you could just give away things. I think the Bears are going to be better. And by the time they face the Titans in Week 15, if things are progressing, even though they're coming off a bye, will Cam Ward be developed, and will things be in sync there in Tennessee? I know everyone's up, and then you got to trust that Nick Bosa is going to stay healthy. Fred Ward's going to stay healthy. Their new secondary, their new safeties are going to develop. Their new edge guy is going to develop. Trent Williams is going to be. They've got a new left guard, and they got Trent Williams. They got Trent Williams, who didn't play the whole back half of last year. Their new left guard is Ben Barch out of Jacksonville. They just got him from Jacksonville. They lost Aaron Banks, who wasn't very good. Brendel, their center's okay. Dominic Puny, the right guard's okay. Colton McGivets, he's not that great at right tackle. And then you got Age and Christian McCaffrey. And you're paying a lot of money to Brock Purdy. And you're paying a lot of money to Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, I don't like the 49ers at all this year. The Seahawks, now there's another team. And I know some stuff has popped in here, guys. I promise I'll get back to you. The Seahawks schedule. They open with the 49ers. That's a win. Then they go to Pittsburgh. That's a win. They play the Saints at home. That's a win. They're going to lose in Arizona the first time they play. They're going to lose to the Bucks. They'll beat the Jaguars. I think that's 4-2. Then they get the Texans. That could be 5-2. They have the bye, same week as the Rams, week 8. And then they get the Texans on the road. That's a loss. They get the Cardinals, then the Rams. We're going to find out where the Titans are. They got the Vikings at home. Then they got to go to Atlanta. Colts, that's a win. Rams, Panthers, and then 49ers. I think the highest I can project, Seattle. NFL Network has them at 8 games. I can see them at 9. But I also see them splitting with the Cardinals. They should lose to the Rams twice, and I see them sweeping the 49ers. This is a tough NFC West. Is it a great NFC West? No. But Rams are going to be competing to try to go to the Super Bowl. Cardinals and Seahawks are looking to turn the corner and become regular playoff contenders. 49ers are hanging on. They're starting to look a lot like the Golden State Warriors. And so that's where I see that at. I'd be welcoming your thoughts as we go forward. ESG, 181 million is guaranteed to Purdy. Yikes. Yeah, let me ask you this, though. Aren't you in one way happy for Brock Purdy? Right? Because you got to imagine there's always that friend or that uncle that says, yeah, you were drafted, but you were drafted last. And it's like, yeah, for 3 years he made 800,000, which I'll take 800,000. But now he's making 55 rocks a year. You know, good for him, right? Good for him. Really happy for him. Thomas Wilson, thank you, Thomas, for clicking on. Caleb Williams, if your expectation is Mahomes, Bears fans probably going to be disappointed. I agree, but I do like the pieces around him. They worked on their offensive line. Ben Johnson is a quarterback, is going to be really good for a young quarterback. I think the Bears are set up to make noise this year and be competitive. They won't be anybody's chumps. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that. Thank you, Thomas, for clicking on. Manuel Vasquez, the Rams sent Ramsey to the team he wanted and he wanted to go to. Unfortunately, probably no chance that the Dolphins return that favor. Yeah, I wouldn't. But then again, that's the distinguishing mark of McSnead, right? They try to accommodate these guys. Where do you want to go, Robert Woods? Where do you guys want to go? And they try to accommodate these guys. ESG, the 49ers have lost their edge. They are no longer feared like they were a couple years ago. Yeah. You know, they were very physical with the Rams from 2019 through 2023. And I think that worm has turned. The young, active, strong, aggressive defense is in SoFi now, not in Levi. Let's see. ESG, I don't think 9 games will get you in the playoffs in the NFC. It'll be really tough, right? I think it'll be really tough. You've got definitely the Eagles and the Texans. Solid, boom, too. And then you've got, Atlanta or Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's going, right? Atlanta's going to struggle for a wild card spot, but that's 3 right there. You got the Rams, that's 4. And then you've got literally the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions, and then maybe the Bears all duking it out. So, yeah, 9 wins is no gimme there. I think the Seahawks, the last 3 seasons have won 9 games, right? And I think they've made the playoffs once. I have to check that. But, yeah, there's no guarantee there at all. Tim Burns, I agree with ESG. Amen. Neil Gonzalez, I like our chances against the 49ers winning both games this year. I agree, too. I really think so. Rams have a good shot. All right. Let's see where we're at here. I love this show. I love hanging with you guys. Let's see what we got. Oh, okay. I'm at the Stone Group.
It was the Stone Group, my man.
All right. Let's see. This date in Rams history. This is a prominent date in Rams history. On this date, May 16th, 1978, Don Klosterman as the general manager. The Rams signed an undrafted free agent, I believe out of Bowling Green, who ended up playing in 6 Pro Bowls in a 10-year career on the Rams offensive line. Do you know who that guy was? Also, that same day, they signed a wide receiver out of New Mexico named Preston Denard. Denard didn't play much in 78. In fact, I remember in 78, after the Rams beat the Vikings, him and Dwight Scales were kind of dancing on the sideline in the highlights as they were coming off the field. And I remember my brother and I in our apartment watching that and said, yeah, you better dance, Denard, because you ain't coming back. And then sure enough, in 79, he becomes our top receiver. And Dwight Scales is banished, I think, to San Diego, and he never develops. Denard's the Rams' top receiver from 79 through 83. And, of course, his trade to Buffalo netted the Rams the draft pick they used to take a guy named Kevin Green. So who is that undrafted free agent center, I believe, out of Bowling Green? He said his position. 6 Pro Bowls in 10 years as the Rams center. 1979, the Rams traded Bill Simpson to the Bills for a 6th-round pick, but Simpson failed the physical. And in fact, his career looked like it was over until Chuck Knox came along and coaxed him out of retirement, and he ended up playing 3 solid seasons for the Buffalo Bills, 1980, 81, and 82. He picked off 12 passes, 4 in each one of those years. On this date in 2017, the Rams claimed Austin Blythe off waivers from the Colts. Rams got 3 years of starting play out of Austin Blythe, so good job, Austin Blythe. And then on this day in 2022, the Rams signed an undrafted free agent named Jake Hummel, who recently departed after his rookie contract. I do want to mention this. Tomorrow, Nick Scott turns 30 years old. Want to get that one out. Sunday, May 18th, Robert Quinn turns 35. And also on May 18th, which is a Sunday, Larry Brooks was signed as a 14th round pick, 355 overall. The Rams signed Larry. I mean, who would know if you didn't sign your 14th round pick in 1972? Rams did. Give them credit. And Larry Brooks. Couple things shake out differently. Another Super Bowl appearance, a Super Bowl win in the 70s, and we're talking Hall of Fame consideration for Larry Brooks. That's how good Larry Brooks was. All right. And on this day in 1974, Lance Rensel was reinstated from his suspension for being busted with marijuana while on probation for indecent exposure. There you go. All right. I think we got it all in. My wife's happy right now, so I might have to wrap up this show. You guys have any other questions? Anything else you want to throw? Be sure to check us out from the RamCave on Spotify. We are not making noise there. I hope the microphone crackling went away. Sometimes that comes through the live stream that I can't control. It's a bandwidth issue sometimes. We haven't had that problem for a while. Okay, OTAs are getting ready to come in. Let's see. Thomas Wilson, do you think the Rams front 7 is top 5 in the league? I don't know if it's top 5 in the league because that Philly one is pretty serious there. But you look at it just on its face. We're going to say Poona Ford's going to be a scorer, right? Poona Ford, Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner, and then you bring in Tyler Davis, Ty Hamilton with depth, and DeJuan Johnson, Laurel Murchison. I think that's a really solid front line. And then, part of that front 7 also is linebacker. And that means Omar Spates, Chris Paul, Nate Landman. We suffer there. But if you're counting edge along that defensive line, Jared Verse, Byron Young, it is right up there. I think it's up there. I think it's elite. I think it's good. I don't think it's the best. I think Philly has the best, if not the best, front 7. Top 5? Oh, if it's top 5, then yeah, I could say you can make an argument for me in top 5. And I'm anxious. There's something that's being overlooked there. As I got 2 minutes, there's something being overlooked there. Is Kobe Turner, the conductor, had a great rookie year playing next to Aaron Donald. Okay. And we've talked about this part. His second year was excellent playing without Aaron Donald, which means this guy learned, developed, and he's not dependent on the guy next to him. All right. That's great. But do we expect Kobe Turner to level off, or do we expect him to go to another level in year 3? Now, he's not going to be Aaron Donald, but do you expect him to go to another level? And I think that's something we're not considering. It's something that's getting underestimated in the fact that Braden Fisk is going to be better. Jared Verse is going to be better. Byron Young was better. Now, he still had his moments where he gave up the edge. He had his moments where he hit instead of wrapped. But he was better than he was in 2023. This defense is going to be better in terms of getting to the ball and who these guys are. I'm curious to see Ty Hamilton. I'm curious to see Tyler Davis, how he's going to develop. And, of course, we want to see Poona Ford. We want to see Poona Ford break that stretch of bad free agent signings, right? If Poona Ford plays 15 or 17 games and just is out there for 1,000 snaps or 800 snaps, can we at least say, okay, he was a good free agent signing? I hope so. But there's these guys that we're underestimating, right? And I think Kobe Turner is one of those guys. And someone someone in that cornerback room, I think we know what Ahkello Witherspoon is. Kobe Durant is playing for his Rams career right now. He's in his 4th year. He's a free agent after this year. Darian Kendrick's trying to stay in the NFL. Darius Williams is a veteran trying to go on one more run. Emmanuel Forbes, in one sense, is safe because his contract's not only good for this year, but it's good for next year as well. Kobe Durant is playing for his career right now. And I'm not saying he won't have a career in the NFL, but he's playing for his next contract. And where does he want that contract to be? Rams won a Super Bowl with Darius Williams in 2021, and then he got a nice fat contract in Jacksonville. Struggled that first year in 2022, had a really good 2023. Kobe Durant's playing for a legitimate contract, not a rookie contract anymore. So I got to feel he's going to be highly motivated. And I like Kobe Durant. I always confuse him with Kobe Turner. So if I was meant to say conductor, I meant Kobe Turner on the defensive line. But those are a couple guys I think that are ready to break out. I think Omar Speights is going to be better because now he knows what he's doing. And these are just things to think about. All right. I think we got it all in. Thomas Wilson, plus the Rams' new draft pick, which I have been very lazy about mentioning, Terrence Ferguson, right? And Josiah Stewart. Absolutely, Thomas. Absolutely. You nailed me on that one. My bad. So definitely a top 5 front 7. Okay, cool. We got it. I'm thinking about getting a haircut, man. I got to get a haircut, or at least to wear a cap. I don't like doing my hair looks. Guys, thank you so much. Be sure to check us out, and we will see you maybe Tuesday. I don't want to miss the whole week. Tuesday. Take care, guys.